Hello and welcome to another session of Learning Business Central presented by Infusion Solutions. A little bit about Infusion Solutions before we get started with today's demo. We've been in the Microsoft channel for over 20 years. We're located in Knoxville, Tennessee. We specialize in creative solutions and integrations within the Microsoft stack. We have customers located throughout the United States in a variety of different industries. We specialize in distribution, not-for-profits, higher education, healthcare, and we have a tailored solution for the wine and spirits industry. We offer consulting services on business processes, integration services, Power Platform development, GP support, and then Business Central implementations, support, and development. A little bit about me. My name is Matt Eldridge, a lead consultant here at Infusion Solutions. I've been with the organization for over 7 years now, and I help lead implementations, work on projects, and support. A little bit of an interesting fact, I do work out of Plymouth, Massachusetts, so I do work remote. I was in Knoxville for a little while and then decided to come back home closer to family. So I'm excited to get started with today's demo, so let's jump right into it. In this session, we're going to be reviewing vendors inside Dynamics 365 Business Central. I am in our Business Central app in a test company called Kronos ME. The first place I'd like to navigate to from my homepage is to the vendor list, and I can do that in a couple of different ways. I can come over to the search bar here, start typing in vendors, and then select from the list below. Or I can use my vendor shortcut to take me to that same list. Next, we can see all the vendors set up inside of this company. And the first thing we want to do today is actually add a new vendor. So under New, it's going to take me to a window where I can select a vendor template. We use templates inside of Business Central so we can default fields for like vendors. We do this to improve efficiency, so it's quicker to set up. Also for consistency, so we're setting up the same things for the same vendors that are alike. We have a couple different selections in here, vendor company and vendor person. You can add new templates and are very user definable, so I can customize my templates and decide what fields I want to default. But for this case, we're actually going to use vendor company. Then it's going to take me to my vendor card. And then we have different sections of the vendor card, which are called fast tabs. So the first field that I'm going to look at is my vendor number, which is going to default for me for my next sequence. But I can change that if I would like to. I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to set up Matt's Marketing today. And under my General tab, I can see that this red asterisk here indicates that this value is required when I'm setting up vendors. I'm going to minimize this General tab because that's all the information I'd like to fill out in this tab. The next is going to be my address and contact. Fill that out here. And then fill out an email address. And maybe add a contact. Good. Well, this is my main address. So let's say that I would like to add a different remit to address. What I can do under related, vendor, and then remit addresses, I can set up a new remit to. So under new, I can set my my Matt's Marketing code here. And then from here, I can fill out that new address. And let's say it's in the same zip code, city, and state. So now, when I back out of here, I have my new remit to address selected for Matt's Marketing. So anytime that I send payments, it will go to this remit to address. Minimize that. Under my invoicing tab, I can set up whether this vendor is liable for taxes, and then I need to set up the tax area code. And for this sake, I'm going to select Atlanta. And then I'm going to go over to my right under my posting details. You can see that I have General Business Posting Group, and that is actually going to drive what is set up for my purchases. Then below, under Vendor Posting Group, this is going to drive what is set up at my GL for my payables. Next, under Payments, I have a few options here. If I had a prepayment that we needed to pay the vendor at the time of purchase, I can do that. My payment terms, so let's say that this vendor is net 30. My payment method code, so whether I pay by my bank or I pay by a check. And then I have a priority field that I could use if I'd like to indicate what vendors take priority over others, so I could filter in my vendor list. Then I have some 1099 information as well. Also my federal ID number, if that pertains to this vendor. Last, under receiving, I have my ship it method code that I can select. Also some lead time calculations, but I'm going to leave this field, this section blank. Good. Notice over here to the right that this is saved. There is no save button inside of Business Central, so it saved that information for me. I'm actually going to back out and go back to my vendor list, and I can see that this vendor is now set up. So now that we're in our list here, let's go over a few other options. The first one is going to be personalization. I can go under my settings and hit personalize, and then I'm going to select a field. Maybe I want to add different fields or remove different fields. I can do that all under personalization. So if I want to scroll down and I want to add my zip code, I can do that by selecting zip code, and then notice where it's going to default this column. Now I can, if I want, I can drag this over and place it over here, and then when I am done, I can go ahead and select done. Now I've used personalization to add different fields to my list. Something else we can do is we can use filters on our list. So if I say show filter pane, it's going to default to a view of all. But let's say that I want to look at all of my vendors with a balance that is greater than 0. I can do that. I'm going to select enter, and notice our new vendor, Matt's Marketing, has now dropped off this list. Well, from here, I can save it if I would like to. So I can hit save as, and then I can name this vendors with a balance. Now, what it will do is it'll allow me to toggle back and forth, and I can go to my all section, and then I can go back to my vendors with a balance section, so I don't have to constantly type in those filters, and I can have a saved version of what I want to filter by. Good. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go back to my all section here, include all my vendors, and I'm going to get rid of my filters. And then what I want to do is I want to turn on the fact box. So I'm going to go under Gym Supplies here. I'm going to hit the fact box, and then we have some vendor statistics that pop up. Notice over here I can see some information such as balance, outstanding invoices, the number of payments, or the amount of payments, that this vendor has made. And notice it's acting like a little hyperlink. So if I want to see what makes up of this balance, I can go ahead and select that. And then it takes me to a list that has this filtered for me. So I can see that I have documents that are open, for this vendor here, and it shows me the entire list here for the invoices that are open that make up of the balance that we just looked at. So if I go back, continue down the screen, I see that I also have a title section. So that's going to tell me my number of documents that are open. So I have 5 invoices, 3 credit memos, 6 posted invoices. And from here I can use this just like the hyperlink that I used above, and I select credit memos, and it's going to take me and show me to all my credit memos here that I have for this vendor. If I go under the attachments section, I have a place where I can attach documents. Also a place where I can add links maybe to the vendor's website, and a place where I can store notes that'll permanently stay with the vendor. So the fact box is a nice little spot where I can see some detail, and then I can also drill in to that detail as well. And turn my fact box off. And the next thing I want to do is I want to actually look at this data in Excel. So if I hit my little arrow here, I have Open in Excel and Edit in Excel. So if I were to choose Open in Excel, what that does is it takes me to a read-only version of Excel to where I can see a full list of my vendors and then be able to filter and look at the data how I'd like to. Or I can hit Edit in Excel, and what that'll do is it'll actually take me to a section. Oh, I've already got this open here. I'm going to say Replace and use this new file. And from here, I can do mass updates on multiple vendors. Okay. So once this data populates, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some stuff about these vendors here. So first, I want to add, let's say I want to give all my vendors my payment method code of check here. So I'm going to add that. I see that there's some missing. Then I have some fields that are this payment terms code that I want to update for these 3 vendors here. So I just simply copied and pasted my payment terms for these vendors. I did copy and paste, but if I were to select something that doesn't exist in a drop-down list inside of Business Central, it will not update. So it does have to exist for me to be able to update it inside of Business Central. So once I'm done making that change, this actually toggles all the way over. I can move it back over and look at my list of vendors here. Let's say that's all I wanted to make, all the changes I wanted to make, and now I'm ready to publish that. So if I go down under here, under this section and hit Publish, it'll make those changes for me. And then when I go back under my Business Central app, I can see that those changes have been made. So if I go under Jim Supplies and I go under Payments, now I can see Jim, who we've updated to from current month to 30 days. I see that change here. So a great way to be able to mass update multiple vendors and multiple fields at one time. Well, that's all the time we had for you today in this session. Hope you learned a little bit about accounts payable. And for more information and next steps on how Business Central can help your team, please contact info@infusion.com. You can give us a call at 865-688-3434 or check out our website at infusion.com. See you next time.